Hello and welcome to the assessment guidance video for the food essay. Okay, this is 4,000 word essay, 4,500 word essay that we'd like you to do. It is an essay, it's not a report, so it needs to be in an essay format. That means no subheadings. I think it's okay when you're doing a draft of this, when you're working on this, it's okay to put subheadings in your draft to help you structure your work. But what I would say is in the final version that you send to us, no subheadings, just needs to be one block of text. The details are, it starts with a sentence or a statement. The prosecution of a food business is the only means to ensure food safety, compliance in other food businesses. And asks you to assess the statement considering the role of EHPs and others in food safety. I think the key word in that sentence is the word only, because it's saying prosecution's the only way that you get people to comply with the law. So that's the only thing that forces people to comply is prosecution. Now, basically what you're going to do is examine that statement, you're going to do some stuff, and you're going to come up with a conclusion for us. I tell you now, there's no right or wrong answer. You can either agree totally with the statement, you can either disagree totally with the statement, or you can partly agree, partly not agree with it. It's up to you. I haven't got a fixed version of what I want you to answer. It's very much up to you. So, what I think, when we look at the different stages, you look at the marking criteria. The first one is around structure and clarity, including referencing. So we want you to produce an essay that flows, that makes sense, that moves logically from one point to another, doesn't jump around all over the place. Also want you to reference it. So you are going to need to go out and do some reading round to get some reference material and to reference your work properly. This is level 5, so we are expecting you to provide a number of references. Now, I don't really want to state how many, because students tend to think, oh, I only need to get up to that amount. You know, we are looking sort of 5, 6, 7, those kind of areas to sort of say, yeah, this is appropriate for level 5. More is better. Okay, don't think you can only get away with 5. Depends what you're referencing. And to be honest, that isn't sort of 5 references from one website. So read round, get some information. First part of the essay is an introduction. What we want you to do is introduce the essay to us. I think there's 2 parts to this. First part of your introduction sort of sets the scene for the reader, gives them a bit of a hook, gets them interested in your particular essay. Think of it as sort of reading a book. Within the first couple of lines, you know if you're going to enjoy the book or not. So something that introduces it, hooks the reader in. Second part is going to tell the reader what actually appears in the essay. So not what you find, but what is coming up, what kind of things will be covered in the essay. Then move on to the next part, which is the importance of food safety. And I think in this bit you need to talk about why food safety is important. I think you can talk about the nature and prevalence of, say, foodborne illnesses. I think you can talk about the impact of food safety on individuals and communities and society as a whole. What I don't think we need to do here is go too medical. So we don't need sort of massive descriptions of different types of food poisoning bacteria and all the details about how they're transmitted and incubation periods. You can make some general comments, but we don't need the specifics on it. Likewise, I think we can make some general comments about how food poisoning is spread, but we don't need to go into a lot of detail about this. So really what I don't want is 1,000 words around what cross-contamination is. That's not what the focus of this particular piece of work is. I think as a very general rule of thumb, the mark that we allocate is relevant to the percentage of words. So the importance of food safety is worth 15%. So roughly 15% of your words is going to be on that section as a very, very rough guide. I think also if you get any charts or tables you want to include, that's fine. You can include them in the work, but remember they do need to be referenced as well. Move on to the next section, which is the consideration of the powers of the EHP. So this is where you take what legislation exists, where it comes from, what the key legislation is, Remember, we are in the UK. I'll accept English, Northern Irish and Scottish English, Northern Irish and Welsh legislation. Anything with the word federal in, you're in the wrong country. So tell me what the legislation is. And in this, I want you to explain what the legislation is. Don't just cut and paste it for me. Talk to me, explain to me, give me confidence that you know what the legislation is. So you can tell me the powers that exist for an EHP. What notices can you serve under what legislation? What does that notice allow you to do? What are the requirements of that notice? For example, are there any things around the time period? What has to be in place for that notice to actually be served in the first place? So you can explore those kind of things. Those are the things that the powers of an EHP. You can then move on to sort of other actions or systems, and really what I would say is these are things that are not the EHP going out and doing an inspection. So you are going to talk to me about HACCP, you are going to talk about Safer Food, Better Business, you might talk about the food hygiene rating system. Now I accept that that is generated as a result of an inspection, but look at that on its own. There might be other things that the legislation sort of says premises should have, food premises should have, and they might be used as well to try and control food businesses. So look at those things, tell me what they are and tell me how they work. If you can, try and build into sort of the concept of risk, the idea that, say for example, different notices reflect the different states of risk that are there. Finally, you then come to your conclusion. Now, throughout this essay, I wouldn't write it in the first person. You would sort of say, these are the powers of an EHP. I wouldn't write, say, as an EHP, I can serve this notice. However, I think in the conclusion you can, because we're asking for your opinion in the conclusion. So it's okay to write in the third person and then in the conclusion switch to the first person and say, in my opinion, in my conclusion, this is what I think. And what I'd like you to do is tell me how far you agree or disagree with the statements at the beginning, and then start to justify that. Why do you think that? Use what you've written in the previous sections to help build up your case, build up your argument, to say this is why I wholly agree, or I wholly disagree, or I partially agree, partially disagree with this statement. Hope this helps, but again, any problems, just email me.